Personally visited every county in New York State, listening to people's concerns. The Sharpe Way is a show where answers, solutions, and common ground can be found so that together we can forge a new way forward. The Sharpe Way is the way to mutual respect, where no one has to convert to be heard, because you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want, as long as you aren't forcing your beliefs on others. Welcome to Sharpe Way Radio.
Yes, it is Larry Sharpe here on Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York. So happy to have you here for just a little bit of your afternoon. You can call me if you want to, and I don't know why you would. I'm teasing, because I'm actually fun to be with. 585-346-3000. There's been some bad news recently, as I'm sure everyone's talking about. It reminded me, of course, of a story. The story I'm going to tell you now is sadly has been a common story. A lot of people wonder why I've spent so much time on social media these last actually decades. And people know that I have been. One of the good things about that is I've been able to connect with a lot of veteran friends of mine. If you've watched this or listened to this show often, you know I'm a proud Marine Corps veteran. But I was a Marine many years ago, in the 80s. My first commanding officer was, Commander-in-Chief, I should say. Commander-in-Chief was Ronald Reagan. Tells you how old I am. So, yes. But I've still felt connected to people in the libertarian movement who are veterans and veterans who aren't. So why do I talk about social media? Because very often when people are feeling bad or sad or in trouble, they will let you know on social media. Sometimes that's through some crazy ranting. Sometimes it's through saying goodbye or something like that. And because I'm relatively well known in the libertarian movement and with veterans, very often if someone's doing something or saying something that seems odd, people reach out to me. And they'll say, hey, Larry, this person, he or she, is in trouble. Can you do me a favor? Can you give them a call? They're not reaching out to me. They're not responding to me. And in this one case, one of the toughest situations I've had to deal with in this case, it was a gentleman who was a veteran, who I called him. He was not taking anyone else's calls. He took mine. I texted him first. He responded. He was in a hotel room. He had a firearm, his firearm, and he was prepared to end his life. This sadly isn't an odd thing or as odd as it should be. This is a common occurrence relative to what you would think, right? People, sometimes I deal with this 3 or 4 times a year, which you might go, is that a lot? That's a lot. That's a lot. 3 to 4 times a year, I'm trying to talk someone off a ledge, sometimes metaphorically, sometimes real. In this case, I remember asking him where the gun was. This is on the phone. He said, it's in my hand. I said, okay. Can you do me a favor? Can you put it on the bed while we talk? He said, okay. I said, where's the gun now? He said, it's on the bed. I said, great. I said, there's a chair there, right? He went, yeah. I said, sit in the chair, would you? So we can talk. He said, okay. And he sat in the chair. And that was walking someone off a ledge. That person's still with us now, which is awesome. And there are many people who are still with us now from having that conversation. That's it. Having a conversation. I'm not magical. I just talk to them. That's it. But what I didn't do when I talk to a person like that, and what too many of us do, is we dismiss their pain. So when someone comes to you and says, I feel pain, I feel bad, I'm angry, we go, don't feel bad, don't cry, things are good. What about this? That is the worst thing you can do. You are disrespecting their pain. You are making them feel worse. You're right, I shouldn't feel bad, but I do feel bad. oh my God, I'm a piece of garbage. I really do deserve to hurt myself. Or worse, hurt others. Yes, hurt others. Instead, accept that they're in pain. Whether you can understand it or feel it is irrelevant. Accept that they're in pain. That's it. But Larry, I don't want to be coddling people. I'm not saying coddling. I'm not saying say you're right. Oh my God, life is bad. I'm not saying that. There's a difference between acceptance, right, and affirmation. I'm just accepting person's feeling pain. Okay, let's talk about that. That's it. That's not magic. That's just human. That's not selfish. Now, why would I tell you that story? Because recently there was another school shooting. And as I've been saying for literally years, 6 years already, I've been saying this publicly. Said it on Joe Rogan. What is killing our children isn't guns or bombs or knives. It's not that. What's killing our children is lack of purpose, lack of community, and loneliness. That is what's killing our children. Because as I said earlier, talking about people who want to harm themselves, they decide in their life that it's best that if I'm not here anymore, they believe, they have convinced themselves that the right answer is them being gone. The world will be better off without them. So they very often wrap things up, say goodbyes, whatever the case may be, and then take their life. But sometimes they don't. Sometimes they decide that when they are going to end their life, they're not just going to wrap things up nicely. They're going to hurt others because they feel pain. And the world in their eyes has disrespected their pain. The world in their eyes has ignored their pain. Or perhaps, in their eyes, created their pain. So they're going to make other people hurt on their way out. Hurt people hurt, either themselves or others or both. Every single one of these school shootings are public suicides. While they are also murders, absolutely, not taking that away, I'm adding on the most critical piece. It is a public suicide, literally with manifestos and goodbye notes and the whole thing. And every time this happens, we do the same thing. The left yells more guns. More gun control. More gun control. And the right yells mental illness. That's it. No one understands the most important thing. We have a youth crisis, particularly male. This time, female to male. So I'm not sure with the gender issue, but still, same thing. You know what we should be concerned about? More than anything else. What was wrong with her? I'm serious. And if you notice, some of you may not know this, the shooter was a part-time worker, a cat sitter. I'm not joking. At 28 years old, living with mom and dad at 28 years old, not having a relationship. The thing I say all the time, there are two common denominators in all of these shooters. One, they have some type of prescription for a psychotropic drug. Guaranteed, she had those two. Guaranteed. And the second thing is, no girlfriend. Or perhaps in her case, boyfriend. I'm not sure if she dated boys or girls, whichever. No girlfriend or boyfriend. And you might go, wait a minute, Larry, does that matter? Yes, it is an indicator of they have nothing to live for. They have no good relationships, and they have drugs that are affecting their brains. They feel depressed, they feel hurt, and now they want to hurt. And they will hurt themselves and maybe others. Think about this. This is a woman who shot children. I want you in your mind to try to figure out what has to be going on in that person's head. She's a woman who shoots children. Something's wrong there. This is not just, well, get rid of guns or whatever. This is a person, a woman who will go into a school and shoot children not once, but 3 times. And if they hadn't got her, maybe more. So let's yell about gun laws and AR-15s. Let's do that. No. Let's understand we have a serious, this isn't going away. I mean, for those of you, again, who are of my age or older, particularly if you lived in a more rural area, you remember the entire environment being filled with guns. People had guns in their cars, in their trucks. Some places they still do, but all the time, teenagers had guns, right? I went fishing with some family friends in New Jersey when I was a kid. The dad literally was carrying a firearm with him. Who cared? Nobody cared. My father, law enforcement, had a gun on him all the time. This is a bigger societal problem, which I've been crying about for years. We have to fix this. I'm getting tired of having these conversations. Then no one listens. Am I wrong? Am I crazy? Tell me. Larry Sharpe, WYSL, Rochester, New York, Sharpe Way Radio. Give me a buzz, 585-346-3000. I'll be back with your calls and the chat after the break.
Okay, we have a caller, Alex from California. You're welcome.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on.
Okay, and after
and
Alex, we have Keith from Rochester.
But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in
You're
Rochester
welcome.
8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Inside the Taylor Laboratories.
Hey, Tony, what you doing?
A little experiment, Zach. Look what I have under the microscope.
Ugh, what's that?
A sample of indoor air.
How can it be that dirty? Don't AC and furnace filters help?
Only with dust, Zach. But when Taylor installs a whole house APCO air purifier to detox the air, odors, chemicals, mold, bacteria, and viruses are removed.
For clean indoor air.
Yep. Ain't science awesome?
Taylor, 500 help.
With incompetent, devious Washington and Albany leadership and a corrupt corporate media that uses news and social to control and mislead, it's important to preserve freedom of speech and to promote a truth-based society for our families. Try something different in 2023. The WYSL stations can grow your business, professional practice, or organization, so allocate your ad dollars here. Take advantage of a huge audience, entertained and informed by leading conservative thought. Affordable and effective. The WYSL stations, the voice of liberty. Call 346-3000 to advertise.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Yes, it is Larry Sharpe here, WYSL, Rochester, New York. Sharpe Way Radio. Number is 585-346-3000. I want to grab a call if I can. I'm going to grab Alex out from California. How are you, Alex?
I'm doing pretty damn well, Larry. How about yourself?
I'm doing awesome. Talk to me.
Oh, yeah, dude. So before I begin with my question, I just want to let you know, man, I'm a longtime follower, longtime listener, man. Huge fan of yours, man. I've been following you since 2019. Originally, I was a Democrat, but you've actually gotten me to, like, see the light of liberty. So huge fan of yours. Appreciate everything you've done to illuminate me and educate me.
You made my day.
Appreciate that. So I wanted to ask you real quick. So right now we're talking about, we're going over the whole Nashville shooting that happened the other day. I would definitely say I wanted to talk to you about, because I hear a lot of Republicans talking right now about how we can, quote, harden these soft, these soft spots or whatever the phrase is that they use, about how schools, to my knowledge, there's a law on the books federally, the 1994, Safe Schools Gun Zone Act or whatever, that prohibits guns from being on these like campuses. Do you have an opinion on that law? And also, I wanted to ask you specifically, how do you feel about the idea of local school districts being able to allow teachers to voluntarily like bring their own firearms into class? And how would you go about because I know you're a policy guy, how would you go about, finessing that policy so that even school districts who might be super blue might be more.
Yeah, I get it. Let me grab those if I could. The first piece is, I know Republicans always say, put a guard out there, hit all the time, put a guard out there, put a cop in every school. Terrible idea. Why? Because as I said, these are all public suicides. All of them are planned. In fact, she literally had like maps and the whole deal. If you have a cop out there, they shoot the cop first. That's what happened in Uvalde, right? Or was the other one there, Parkland, whatever it was? They go after the guy first. So they shoot that person first and move on. So all you can do is create another dead person. This time it'll be a cop. So hardening the target by putting a physical person there just means that person is the first person killed. It changes nothing. They only make the attack once they've planned it. Many times they'll actually walk through it 3, 4, 5 times to figure out where is the guard, what happens. So now not only will they shoot the cop, they'll now have his gun and his ammunition. Terrible idea. Again, it's no idea. It's Democrats are the party of bad ideas. Republicans are the party of no ideas. So absolutely not a good idea. The way you fix this is what you said the second time. The problem is many people on the left, and I literally heard this on a news show, we have to worry about kind of our constitutional privilege to have a gun. Note the word that person used, constitutional privilege. There is no such thing. There are constitutional rights and non-rights, right? But many people, particularly those on the left who hate guns, call it a privilege. When you're calling it a privilege, we have a problem. There's I forgot. One of the Congress people said we should license guns like driver's licenses. License to drive, license to own a firearm. Well, driving is a privilege. Having a gun's a right. Are you saying driving's a right or gun's a privilege? They're saying gun's a privilege. They're saying the right to defend yourself is not a right, it's a privilege. If the government allows you to defend yourself, you may. This must be the argument. Is it a privilege to defend yourself or not? Once you say it's not a privilege, I have a right to defend myself. Now you go to what you talked about. The actual answer to this, when it comes to schools only, is a very simple law, very simple rule. If you are licensed to carry a firearm, or authorized to in your state, if you don't require a license, whatever it is, if you're authorized in your state to carry a firearm, and you are a teacher or an administrator, and you would like to, you may. That's it. No rule that you have to, no rule that there has to be a guard. You may. What does that mean? That means some schools will have 30, 40 people packed. Some will have almost nobody packing. The shooter will not know. And that's the key. If the shooter won't know who has a firearm, the shooter cannot plan. If the shooter cannot plan, there will not be a school shooting. Now, that is a Band-Aid, sadly, Alex. It's only a Band-Aid because all that does is stop the person from shooting up schools. If they can't shoot up schools, they'll go to other places, like we've seen already. Theaters, churches, they'll go to other places which are soft targets. You can harden the target by making it a tough target where they cannot plan. The less people can plan, the less they'll have these shootings. I'm sorry, that was long. Did that make sense, Alex?
No, 100%, 100%. And like, as you were speaking, I was thinking about, Democrats are on the left. I guess just in general, people on the left tend to hold teachers up as this like massive, amazing profession. And I'm not talking shit on teachers. I went to public schools. I'm currently finishing my paralegal certificate at my local community college. I have a lot of professors I have respect for. A lot of teachers that I went to K-12 with, a lot of respect for. But the left always talks about how teachers need more money. They need more, resources. Like, we need to take care of our teachers. I mean, the teachers union is a massive donor to specifically the Democratic Party. And
the teachers union, Alex, isn't actually a teachers union. The teachers union is actually an administrators union. There are more administrators than there are teachers. So it's actually administrators union. So all the money is going to administration, not the teachers. That's the issue.
I've heard you speak about that before, about splitting up the union. So we have a teachers union and an administrators union, and I genuinely love that idea. I even talked to one of my friends in my local community over here. He actually works. He's actually He's actually an elected school board member. But his day job is he's a vice president at a school in a city that's like 2 miles away from where I live. I brought that idea up to him. He's a Democrat, by the way, and he loved the idea because he's a vice principal. He doesn't get a union right now.
There we go. There should be 2 separate unions. That's it, right? Because administrators have different goals, different ideas, do different things compared to teachers. Let teachers support teachers. And
let's go to Keith.
It's a much better way. So, Alex, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you.
All righty. I want to grab another call if I could. Keith from Rochester. How are you, sir?
Yes. You hear me?
I can. Go ahead.
Okay. You didn't respond. I want to talk about the mental health aspect. I am not a veteran, but I've talked to people in the military and law enforcement, and here's my observation. I get almost from them the feeling that they would, in an external manner, want to attack a hill where there is a machine gun nest rather than go off internally, sit down off somewhere by themselves, even for a prolonged period of time, and get to know their inner landscape. Something for all people about coming to grips with their inner self frightens many people. Many people fear being alone. They fear anything that has to do with a solitary nature. As Americans, we want to go, go, go. We are not encouraged as a people just to settle ourselves down, learn ourselves, and exactly that, come to grips with our inner selves. And until that turns around, and I'm very concerned with these young people, they are not being trained. It's all you can do to get these young people to speak more than 1 or 2 sentences. They are not being trained as the future therapists. And so for what you were talking about in the first 15 minutes, I don't know where we go, where we're not going to have these professional people who know how to deal with the pain of people, especially coming back from war, where veterans keep to themselves and will not open up. There's too much pain, and they remain
So let me
silent.
touch a couple of those, if I could, Keith. The first thing you're saying is there are decent professionals, not as many as I'd like, who can handle this. Sadly, we've made it a cookie cutter, so a lot of people are not good at this. They've shifted into affirmation instead of acceptance, and that's a common thing. Affirmation is now the new way of doing it, which is the wrong way of doing it. It's acceptance, which is the right way of doing things. If you begin to affirm somebody on their pain versus accept, they go deeper into pain. If you begin to dismiss it, which is what the average person does, trying to make things better and band it over, then they actually feel worse, but they go deeper into themselves, as you said. Many times you will find it's a whole lot harder for men. You're finding what you said, the data is in already. Men have less friends than they've ever had. Women have a little bit less, but they're still doing okay relative to men. They are having less purpose. And so you're right. They're sitting in their rooms or in their homes, often living with their parents, feeling like they're failures, not being able to talk to people. And then those who are successful, at least on the outside, have decent jobs. To your point, Keith, they're lonely. Even though they're in front of people, like they have a family or they have people around them, they're not opening up to their friends. They're not opening up to people. So they're actually lonely, even though it looks like they're not, which is why so many people say, I was shocked. I never thought he would do anything because he has people around him. The number one thing we have to be better at, Keith, is me and you. Just me and you. When you see someone who's in trouble, don't try to fix them. That's the most important thing. Don't try to fix them. Just be there. I cannot tell you how important it is. Just be there. Don't judge. Don't judge. And don't try to fix. Just what's going on? I feel terrible because this. Okay. This is what will help them, Keith. That's really the answer. Thank you for the call, Keith. I appreciate it. All right, guys, I want to say, are we right? Keith, up a point. Have you seen that? I have. Right? Absolutely. How about Alex? Let me know. Larry Sharpe, WYSL, Rochester, New York. Sharpe Way Radio. 585-346-3000. The chat's blowing up. I'll get back after the break with both the chat and your calls.
For truth and freedom.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. Partly cloudy skies, a little bit frosty. We'll dip into the upper 20s and low 30s. On Wednesday, an interesting day of weather ahead. Will be initially a nice warm-up with a gusty wind out of the south. We could get into the 50s early afternoon. Then a strong front will arrive around 5, 6 o'clock with a burst of rain over to wet snow, quickly falling temps and some gusty winds into Wednesday night. I'm Rich Cornelia, WYSL.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Dear Dr. Sussman.
Dear Dr. Sussman, I just wanted to write to all the wonderful people who work with Dr. Sussman and Dr. Pogel at the Center for Cosmetic Dentistry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Each person in the office made me feel my smile.
Not only am I completely happy with my smile, but I feel you've been there for me with all my dentistry.
I've had several dentists in my life, but never a dentist of your caliber. You have state-of-the-art.
You keep current in your field as evidenced by your numerous diplomas and certificates, and your entire staff is really the cream
I'm
of the
thrilled with the outcome of your skills and artistry. It's made such a difference in my life.
Dr. Sussman, Dr. Pogel, and the entire staff at the Center for Cosmetic Dentistry take great pride in providing not only advanced dental care, but extraordinary cosmetic dentistry. They love what they do and have a partnership with their patients toward long-term dental health.
For a bright, confident, beautiful smile.
Thank you, Dr. Sussman.
Thank you, Dr. Pogel.
Thank you.
Change your life, change your smile.
For more information, call the Center for Cosmetic Dentistry at 22 Smile or visit 22-smile.com.
A great springtime is in store with blue skies, green grass, and your new ride from Victor Chevrolet. Check out these great lease specials. Get the all-weather capability of a 2023 Chevy Silverado LT Crew Cab for just $359 a month for 36 months. Must-have lease and household. Residual $37,061. MSRP $52,945. 10,000 miles per year. A 2023 Chevy Equinox LS is only $179 a month for 27 months. Must-have lease and household. Residual $19,552. MSRP $30,080. 10,000 miles per year. A 2023 Chevy Trailblazer LT is $179 a month for 27 months. Must-have lease and household. Residual $17,660. MSRP $25,595. 10,000 miles per year. These deals require $2,500 down, first payment, and DMV fees due at closing. Get more details at dealer. And don't forget, Victor Chevrolet has an unbeatable pre-owned selection. Whether you drive a Chevy or not, trust your vehicle to our Chevy Certified Service Department. Come see how easy it is to do business with us. Find new roads at Victor Chevrolet, Route 96 in Victor. Visit VictorChevrolet.com.
While many local collision and repair shops have been gobbled up by national chains with their impersonal touch, Flower City Collision remains locally owned and operated. The shop was started by a local veteran who taught his son Zach the basics in customer service and providing customers value. Flower City doesn't work with a specific insurance company. They want to be your advocate. If you need a repair, reach out to Zach at Flower City Collision in Henrietta. He will work with your national insurance company to ensure you get the repair you need done right.
WYSL. Thomas Jefferson said, no free man should ever be debarred the use of arms. One more reason showing why gun grabbing is un-American. Learn more, join Scope. Visit MonroeCountyScope.com.
All Seasons Wine and Spirits. Why go to the big liquor superstores in Rochester when you can save and park right next to the front door at All Seasons? They'll carry your discount case purchases to your car with a smile. Voted best in Livingston County. All Seasons Wine and Spirits, 255 Main Street in Avon.
Fratelli's Restaurant in Avon is now hiring line cooks and dishwashers. Get your kids out of the house. Apply in person. Fratelli's Restaurant, Route 15, just south of Route 390, exit 9. An equal opportunity employer.
Hey, how about becoming a member of the National Warplane Museum in Geneseo, New York? Help us preserve history. Plus, you get some pretty fancy benefits. Visit us online, nationalwarplanemuseum.com.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Yes, it is Larry Sharpe here on Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York. 585-346-3000 is the number. And before the break, we were talking about people who are in trouble. How do we deal with them, right? How do we fix these schools issues and the veterans? And the point I want to bring up with Keith before we had to stop the call because of the break, Keith is bringing up a very valid issue. There is still a male issue. I know some of you may be upset for me to say that, but it's just true. Men are in trouble, young men particularly are in trouble in this country. And it doesn't matter if you're, in the city, it doesn't matter if you're in a rural area, it doesn't matter. Men are struggling. It's true. I know some people are going to say, yeah, but, male privilege, whatever. You can say that all you want. But when men get in trouble and they feel bad, they either hurt themselves and or others. And really, to Keith's point, when some man feels, I have to end this because I feel lonely, I feel like I'm not doing anything right, I feel terrible. When they end their lives, they have told themselves that when I end my life, the pain will end. That's wrong. When they end their life, the pain won't end. It'll just be shifted onto the people who love them. Particularly if they didn't know. For those of you who've had somebody in your life who's committed suicide, you will know what I'm talking about. When someone close to you commits suicide, it's the worst way they could go. And I mean that. It's the worst way. If someone's hit by a car, if someone gets cancer, if someone has a heart attack, you don't feel guilty because of that. You feel terrible. You've lost your loved one, but you don't feel guilty. You feel terrible. Oh my God, I've lost my loved one. This bad thing happened. But suicide often makes the individual feel like it's their fault. I should have done more. To Keith's point, I should have said something. I should have talked to them. I should have got them help. I should have done the thing. And I didn't. It takes the pain and shifts it off of the individual onto those people who love the individual. Suicide doesn't end the pain. If there's anyone in your life considering it, let them know that. It doesn't end the pain. If you're considering it, it doesn't end the pain. We are not better off without you. We are worse off without you. But I will go one step further, and I'll go back to what Keith said. I'm going to stick on this for a little bit because Keith made a very valid point. You will hear me often say, if someone has a problem, one of the best people to fix that problem is someone who's had that problem, right? If someone's is getting divorced, someone who's been through a divorce can help. If someone has a drug addiction problem, someone who's had a drug addiction problem can often help them the best. Well, veterans and law enforcement officers who have PTSD or are dealing with issues, who can help them best? A veteran who's been through it. Absolutely. So if you're in trouble, or if you have a friend who's in trouble and they're feeling bad, they feel like they're a burden. I'm a burden. I don't want to be here anymore. Here is what I want you to know, or for you to tell that person. If they decide to end their lives, they are being selfish. Because while they feel they're a burden, they actually could be somebody's purpose. And very often, there's another vet who's also in trouble, who's barely keeping it together. Barely keeping it together. And you go, man, I'm in trouble. I'm feeling it. I'm in trouble. And he goes, okay, I got you. You just became his purpose. Not only did he save you, but you saved him. That's a critical piece. We do need each other desperately. Let me grab some of the chat if I could. Patty says, an old song states, people who need people are the luckiest people of all. No, these shooters need people. People who need people have nothing to live for and are the most dangerous people of all. It's a valid point, Patty. If you, I don't think the song was about that, but I get what you're saying, right? If you need someone, you need to be fulfilled in some way. And, you know, the part about what Keith said that I want to bring up is that you don't have to be a professional. It's not required. You just have to have two ears. I'm sorry, one ear, not two, sorry. One ear that works. One ear that works is all you require. If you got two, bonus. One that works, and a head that can nod. Can you nod your head, and do you have at least one good ear? You got that, you are qualified. Don't judge. Don't affirm. Just accept. And here's what I promise you. One thing I'll promise you. You're not going to fix them. They're all of a sudden awesome. But you will talk them off a ledge. You'll keep them alive. You'll keep them around for another day to see what the next thing will happen and hope they'll get better and find some hope and find some future. So yes. Dave is being facetious. He says, Larry, I see a connection between shooters and manifestos. The government should ban manifestos. Well, there we go. Now, look, Dave, I don't want to ban them. I just want common sense manifesto control. That's all I want. Common sense, okay? That's all there is. Common sense, yes. So Craig says, read the shooter had another school in mind, but specifically chose this school because it had less security. It's as if guns scare criminals. Actually, I don't know. I heard that this person went to the school. The point is that in some way, the person believes that someone else is responsible for their pain, and they're going to make that person pay the price. That's the key. Or that group of people before and since they're going to die, what law is going to stop them? What are you going to give them a double death penalty after they're killed, pull them out and kill them again? There's no way of stopping them. Peyton asked a question. Do you respond to comments on Twitch? Yes. I'm responding to yours. By the way, for those who know what the chat is, when I talk about the chat, this live radio show on WYSL also goes live on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Twitch and Roku. So all the chat comes in. So I grab comments from any of those, just so you're aware. That's what we do. So yes, I hope that was clear. So, and in any case, the reason why I brought those up is we often think that the answer is more laws, and the answer is more connection. Jamie says, we have a social media problem. This is the vast majority of our problem with our younger generation. This kind of goes back also to what Keith was saying too, right? People not knowing how to communicate well. And that's true, particularly the youth. The youth struggle to communicate. And that matters tremendously. How am I going to connect to you, Jamie, if I can't have a conversation? How am I going to understand that you actually care about me if I can't connect? And then the worst part becomes, because I'm not good at it, I don't want to do it. So I'm not good at it because I don't practice. So it's a horrible circle. So I don't try talking to you, Jamie, because I'm afraid I'll be bad at it. So I never practice. So I am bad at it. So I never make it work. And then when I come to you, Jamie, you're just as bad as me. We're both the same age. We're both, 18 or whatever it is. You're not good at it either. So now you screwed up too. So now we're all in trouble. It is a problem. I think he's right. It's a problem. But the biggest piece is not thinking you have to be an expert. You don't. You don't. One good ear, a head that nods, and don't judge. That's it. And you can help somebody. And then you can get better at yourself. It's that simple. And of course, take the time. And that can be hard, right? We have busy lives and all kind of things. Do I have time to stop what I'm doing and call somebody? I got to find the time. Do I have time to stop what I'm doing and take a text? I got to find the time. And so do you. The question you have to ask yourself is, whatever you're doing a month from now, a week from now, which one will you wish you have done? Which one will you have wished you've done? Whatever that is in English. You know what I mean? Yes. So Sam says, we've had guns, schools, and religion since the founding. Correct, correct, and correct. There is a large problem of people being sad, depressed, oppressed, and lashing out against soft targets. Sam, you've hit it perfectly. This is one of the hardest things. This kind of goes back to what Keith says too. There's two sides of this, right? I, for some reason, feel like I am either cheated or wronged or disrespected or I'm unhappy, whatever the case may be. Do I turn that inward or do I turn that outward? If I turn it inward, I just punish myself. I don't really lash out. I punish myself. Now, I wind up hurting others anyway, because as I'm self-destructive, others pay the price for that, right? So I wind up hurting others even though I'm trying to attack myself, because my self-destruction affects others. Or I literally strike out, and I strike out at those people who I think are my enemies. That's why I have a manifesto. Dave is right. We've got to outlaw manifestos. He was right the whole time. That's the answer. Alex, I take back what I said about everything else. It's common sense manifesto control. That'll solve these things. I'm teasing, obviously. But I think you're right, Sam. We find who we think is our enemy or who is responsible for our pain, and we're going to teach them a lesson. And if it costs us our lives, not because that's okay, that's a bonus. They're happy about that. It's terrible. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy here, but I hope that you guys see that I'm trying to give you real answers. As hard as they are, as challenging as they are, they're the real answers. Larry Sharpe, Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. Back with more of the chat and your calls after the break.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date.
Okay, we got another caller, Roger from Nassau County.
Running smoothly.
You're welcome.
Clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Are you cold in your home? Pick up the phone and call Wise Home Energy at 270-5836. Don't be cold in your home. Pick up the phone, call 270-5836. Wise Home Energy has helped thousands of people get millions in grants and rebates to make their homes much warmer. So don't be cold in your home. Pick up the phone, call Wise Home Energy at 270-5836 today.
Wise Home Energy is a participating contractor in the Home Performance with Energy Star program.
With incompetent, devious Washington and Albany leadership and a corrupt corporate media that uses news and social to control and mislead, it's important to preserve freedom of speech and to promote a truth-based society for our families. Try something different in 2023. The WYSL stations can grow your business, professional practice, or organization, so allocate your ad dollars here. Take advantage of a huge audience entertained and informed by leading conservative thought. Affordable and effective. The WYSL stations, the voice of liberty. Call 346-3000 to advertise.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Yes, it is Larry Sharpe back here on WYSL, Rochester, New York. Sharpe Way Radio, having a very interesting conversations about, as we try to focus on safety, we're not focusing on safety. Things are still getting worse. We're not focusing on the most important pieces, the individuals that matter. The lunar eclipse says, Larry, this is also why politicians won't go after root cause. Big pharma, since common denominator in these attacks is over-prescribing SSRIs and other mind-altering, mood-altering drugs. I think there's a point there, right? I mean, if we just, there's a lot of money in this. So why would I stop my grift going? So I think he has a point. I'm going to grab the call if I can. I want to grab Roger from Nassau. How are you, Roger?
Hey, Larry Love.
What's going on?
All right. So I got 3 things to say. I typed them out so I could go boom, boom, boom.
Okay.
Check it out. Those who want abortion bans should team up with those on the left who wish to make it an economic positive by having a baby and starting families. 2, those who are against immigration should team up with those on the left who wishes to stop our invasions, economic sanctions, and coup d'etats of other countries, making their lives a living hell, and then they come here, arriving on our borders. Those who want guns everywhere should team up with those on the economic left to help improve people's economic standing lives to close that income inequality gap and provide universal single-payer health care. You know what I mean? Because like you said, all this shooting or whatever, you find out it's tied to some type of economic distress or mental distress or whatever the case is, because we have no social safety net. If people would stop
I like how you're thinking.
What's that?
I like how you're thinking. You're saying if we really want to solve a problem, there's a way of doing it by bringing the left and right together to focus on the root, right? The root issue that's causing all the people coming in across the board in immigration, the root thing that's causing women having abortions, the root thing that's causing people, shooting each other and whether it's gang violence or suicide or mass shootings. You're saying fight the root causes together and then the problem goes away.
Exactly, because if people would stop being single issue voters, they'd realize their connection to others and stop treating the symptoms of problems, and we can get to the cure or vaccination instead. I don't know if vaccination is still a curse word or whatever.
Whatever, it's fine. Yes. No, I get your point. I think your point is a very valid one, Roger. I think most of us don't do that at all. You're right. There shouldn't be a fight over the outcome, right? And I think that's your point. The outcome we agree on. The question is, how do we get there? And that's where we're fighting.
Yeah. So the second thing I want to say real quick, this goes back to when you had Kit on your show, right? So if the people that are saying, hey, you're getting rid of political parties, that would violate the First Amendment right or whatever, and if they decide that, the party people, I call them, if they decide to take it to the Supreme Court, the way I see it is this. It's a conservative court, so they will probably kick it back to the states for 2 reasons. One, it's a conservative court, so they believe in states' rights. They're like, I don't want to deal with it. You guys handle it. You know what I mean? The other reason is that they want to clear their docket, because Congress, and this is very important, Congress has played a trick on us by making.
Well, hold on. So what you're saying is, for the audience, other people who are listening or watching, you're now talking about getting rid of political parties so that we can focus on single issues and not focus on party politics. I get your logic. I do. I understand your logic completely. And you're saying that it won't be a problem at the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court will kick it back to the states and states can make their own decisions.
Yeah. So
got it. Okay.
So yeah, I want to eventually abolish parties. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, once the Congress has played a trick on has played a trick on us by making us believe that they have no power, and the Supreme Court just go to the Supreme Court, because they know that we can't hold them accountable like we can hold them accountable.
Right.
It's not the court that's supposed to be an activist branch of government. It's supposed to be Congress. So they kick everything to there. And every time these judges, these potential jurors get interviewed, they say, well, how will you decide on this? They always tell them, look, you guys have the power to legislate. Pretty much, if you don't like what we passed, what we ruled on, make a law to overrule it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But they realize these guys filled my docket up. They're looking for a reason to clear their docket. Stop sending stuff to us. Do your job.
No, I get it. Roger, I'm going to have to let you go. I got people I got to grab. I appreciate the call, my friend. Thank you so much.
All right.
Have a good one. I like what Roger's saying. Why aren't we moving together? Patty agrees. Patty in the chat says, to this last amazing caller, everyone has their own agenda. We don't realize if we don't work together, we could accomplish so much more. I posted this earlier on social media. So, Roger, you have a fan. So someone's agreeing with you. Absolutely. So, yes. But I do want to bring up the idea of working together like Roger's talking about. I think we can do this. I bring this up every week. The idea that if we focus on the outcome, we actually can work together, but we don't. We yell that left guy is wrong or right guy is wrong, so therefore I can't hear you. It's the wrong answer. So now you guys are teasing me about the manifesto. Jim says, what about Wim Manifesto? I guess. But I think man comes from writing the hand. I think that's where it comes from. You writing it out. I think that's where it comes from, actually. So Joe, of course, says school should be a no manifesto zone. That also works. I agree with that completely. That's probably smart. I like that idea. So, but no, I'm glad you guys are doing jokes about this. But the point's a valid one. What you heard Roger say is, why don't we get together to focus on the root cause? But we won't. What Joe and Jim are talking about as joking, it's not joking, because they're going to focus on the outwardness. They're going to focus on the manifesto. They're going to focus on the gun. They're going to focus on everything that is a branch and not a root. And the root causes the critical piece. But here's the part. The root is the hardest to fix. That's the one that takes time. That's the one that takes energy. That's the one that doesn't get fixed in 5 minutes. That's the one where I have to put my ego, right to Roger's point, I've got to put my ego in my pocket and then deal with an issue, how to fix it. And maybe I'm mad at Roger, or I think Roger's too far left or too far right for me, or whatever, or he's radical, whatever I think. I got to put that in my pocket and now talk to him like a human being and say, how do we fix this? And not just that, now Roger got to put his ego in his pocket. And he thinks Larry's this crazy guy. He's a radical, he's too far left or too far right. He's got to put his ego in his pocket and have that conversation. And while it sounds like common sense, of course, Larry, you and Roger, you put your egos in your pocket, of course. This is to save the children. This is to save the teachers. This is to save veterans. This is to save whomever. It actually isn't that easy. Because while Roger and I may be intelligent human beings who can think about things, we are also emotional human beings who have ego, who have pride, who have emotion, who have all the things that are going to make us want to be like, nah, I can't talk to that guy. He said that thing I didn't like a month ago or something, whatever thing we make up. I think it's valid. But at one point, we have to realize if we focus on the outcome and we work together, we can actually solve these problems. It will take more time. It's not easy. And it's not about a law. And it's not about punishment. It's about communication. And to be trite, it's about love. Thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I will see you all very soon.